Okay, so we've been through one theory of elderly abuse, and we are looking at a second theory today. Okay, so elderly abuse can also be explained using the life course perspective. Anybody learn about life course perspective from your other classes? So, life course perspective says that our individual life events, life history, from infanthood to teenage years to young adulthood to middle age to old age, is going to influence our trajectories of health, of income, of education, of asset ownership, of educational attainment, and all the other well-being trajectories as we progress from infanthood to old age. Everything we experience since we were babies until old age, every event, whether it's subtle or distinct, we experience from infanthood to old age is going to affect our well-being, financial well-being, health outcomes, assets ownership, educational attainment, among other things. And some effects are more immediate. We feel that right away. Some effects can linger for a long time, accumulative. But if we've been through this, the fetus, when the fetus is still in the mother's womb, if they live in a bad neighborhood, the mom does not aware that smoking is harmful from pregnant woman. She smokes. And because of that, the fetus may experience certain adverse health outcomes, cognitive impairment in his or her childhood years. And then this is going to affect her school performance later on. This is going to affect her income, her asset, his or her asset ownership, and other trajectories from teenage years to adulthood to old age. This is what we mean by the life course perspective. From the PDF file we just saw, it focused on the positive or adverse. Adverse means negative, I'm sure you know. Effects of a person's optogenesis or optogenetic. I think optogenetic means an individual's organism and an individual behavioral traits early on in life. And things happen in the family or things happen across generations. We always see that, right? If the grandparents are abusive, it affects how parents are going to act. Parents may learn these behavioral traits from parents through observation. Sometimes it is also due to the biomarkers interacting with these unstable, abusive environments in the home. Parents can also become abusive. And maybe when kids become parents, kids may become abusive to their future kids due to both genetic and home environmental factors. And it's going to mess up a person's cortisol level growing up in abusive homes. Some of you know that, given your backgrounds. It's going to increase the cortisol level. When cortisol is out of whack, it can lead to all kinds of physical and mental health outcomes later on in life. It affects eventually a person's well-being in old age, right? And societal events. I posted a video on somebody, a Vietnamese family. I don't know if you check out my videos in week 11 module already. The person's name is Kian Yun, and he's still alive, sorry. He is Amerasian. Do you know what is Amerasian? Children of mixed heritage of Caucasians and Asians. In Kian's situation, he is of mixed heritage of a Vietnamese mom and an American GI father. He is Vietnamese American, so is his younger brother. And they were fathered by different dads. Their mom is never married. She wasn't married. And they were not evacuated at the fall of Saigon. Somebody tried to evacuate them. And he wrote a book. If you read the book, we learned that, I don't know if the person who was directing the evacuation, it was very chaotic. At the end of April, before the communists came to Saigon, everybody wanted to leave Saigon. I forgot in the book, I read it 20 years ago from a library. And from the book, apparently there were 2 people in the helicopter. And I don't know if the person who was directing the evacuation got shot or the driver got shot. So because of that, his mom and Kian and his brother were left behind in communist Vietnam. So this is an example of how societal events, communists took over, the fall of Saigon, affected every member of that family's life, affected his mom. She was ostracized because she fathered a kid, 2 kids from 2 different American GIs. And after the reunification of Vietnam, people were anti-Western, anti-American that time. So it was hard for her mom to get a job after that. She sold her blood to make a living to support the 2 boys. Eventually, because Kian was smart, Kian Yun, he was smart. Before the fall, he went to school. And after the fall, he continued to go to school. So, and he was a good student. He knew how to read and write, even in English. And it seems that he figured a way to write a letter to the United Nations Refugee Commission or something of that sort. He wrote in English. He was brilliant. His brother was brilliant too. But he was the older son. He wrote a letter to the UN Refugee Commission. They followed through his case. They did not track his father or his brother's father, but they said, maybe we should try to find a way to help them immigrate to the US. After all, they are half Americans. That's what they did. It got international attention. And eventually, the family migrated to the US. But because they had a hard life in Vietnam, the mom had a hard life as a young adult after the communists took over. And Kian and his brother, they had to work because selling blood cannot sustain the whole family. Kian and his brother had to work as child laborers in various capacities to support the family. It affected their health. And when communists took over, communists kept coming to their house. Communists took their house away. And when they moved to their aunt's home, communists kept harassing them, given their backgrounds. They had a hard life. I don't know about the brother, I don't recall. But Kian and his mom developed all kinds of mental and physical health problems later on in life because of what they experienced early on in Vietnam. They went through therapy. Her mom went through 2 heart bypasses, maybe because of how she used to live after the communists took over. And Kian had mental health issues. He had nightmares. He went through therapies after therapies. But even though he eventually went to dentistry school, I think he's a dentist now. But he went through therapy when they first moved to the US. So this is how society's events or societal events can affect a person's health and other aspects of well-being later on in life. This is what we mean by the life course perspective. Any question? Are we clear? And the sequencing or timing of events are very clear-cut. When we talk about the life course perspective, Kian Yun had a good life as a young kid before communists took over. I think the mom, she made a future for herself. She was a hand model, she was quite pretty. And apparently her hand was quite smooth or something, I don't know. She was a hand model for lotion and jewelry. And she saved enough money to open a bank before the communists took over. She was a wealthy capitalist. And she had 2 kids with 2 Americans without getting married. So in their young life, him and his brother, they were wealthy, they had a good life as young kids. And later on, after communists took over, they had a hard life. And when they moved to America, they experienced certain health issues, including the mom. So, the life course perspective always focus on the sequencing of events. That's one important characteristics of this theory. Can you see that? And there are 5 principles associated with the life course perspective. This chapter only mentions living life, but we will talk about all 5 of them. Okay, let me take those first before we move on.